Hey everybody, welcome to the Arcade City Podcast. It's Brandon and Kevin again. We're back. We didn't do it last time, so we're going to let Kevin gush about Ant-Man today. We got some news. We're just going to talk movies and all things comic-related, TV-wise and movie-wise. So I guess first, Kevin, we should start off talking about S.H.I.E.L.D.
Sure.
We might as well cover it.
Yeah, get it out of the way.
I did not watch it. Turned over to Fox and watched Seth Green's show called Dads. I am not really sure how it panned out this week. I did not catch up, and I do not know if I am going to catch up. I'm at the point with this series where I almost want to drop out of it, and if something good happens, I will come back. But from what you're telling me, maybe it's starting to get good. Maybe we're going to see some things. So what actually happened here?
Well, yeah, and I cannot argue with your logic here because I almost feel the same way. I do think it was better this episode. They wrapped up. They kind of wrapped up the mystery with Sky's parents. I won't spoil anything, but basically they kind of wrapped that up. Although there are more questions maybe that came out of it.
You know what? You spoil away because, like I said,
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it, and anybody that is going to listen to this has probably already watched it if they're really into Shield. If you haven't watched it, fast forward a little bit.
Right. Yeah. We'll just let you know right now. So anyway, Sky. It turns out that Sky was orphaned because her parents were killed. I don't remember much about her dad specifically. Well, I got confused. They had an agent on there that I wasn't positive if that was her dad or just some sort of guardian. But what ultimately happened is whenever her parents were killed, her mom was a SHIELD agent, and she was killed in something, and they just basically took her, Sky, and passed her around from SHIELD family to SHIELD family, which turned out to be, under the guise that they were orphans. It was an orphanage, and she had a bunch of different parents, but they were always all SHIELD agents kind of guarding her. And there was something about the fact that there's something with her that maybe she has, and again, this wasn't real clear, and maybe it was crystal clear if I was really concentrating on what I was watching, which kind of shows you a little bit how I feel about the show. But maybe she's got some powers or something, but there was some sort of like, if you have her around, death is sure to follow. So dun dun dun.
Now, her story, from what I remember, back beginning of the series, was
you can go.
Yeah, wasn't last week. Was Coulson pulled her file, and what he found out was she was dropped off by a SHIELD agent. Correct? Maybe for some reason I remember that. And so did they dive into that more, or you just kind of found out like who her parents were, or did you find out who the agent was?
They tracked down this agent that was off the grid for however many years, and that was the one I couldn't tell if he was a guardian or her actual father. Because he seemed to care about her, but didn't want to see her. He was very adamant, and there was just there was something implied that there's a curse about her. I could not help but think about Harry Potter, because it was like some evil was after her, killed her parents, but she was saved by her mom, just sort of having a lightning bolt across her forehead. It was almost
the series would get so much better if it went to Hogwarts.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. They kind of leaked. I read an article that Agent Coulson, the Greg Clark, the actor, tweeted that this week's episode would show the Hogwarts of S.H.I.E.L.D. And at first I was thinking of this storyline, but really what they were doing is that the set or the location for this particular episode was all in the computer or the smart people's academy for S.H.I.E.L.D. So the science nerds, the girl and the guy, they're like heroes at the school. And this is where we first kind of find out that SHIELD has different academies for the type of work you do for SHIELD. So like Agent Grant went to the operations, and these two were from the nerd university or whatever they call it, the sciences. And apparently there's competition between the two. So again, that became more Hogwarts like. So it's Gryffindor versus Slytherin or whatever, but it's these two different academies they have in SHIELD. And they didn't touch much on Coulson being a robot or not a robot or dead. Just that he was dwelling on the fact that now he remembers his stuff. He's just now trying to put it aside and work on this thing with Skye, and then
now,
of course.
Do you find, because as I thought about it this past week and why I didn't watch it, I know there's some other stuff that happened in the episode, but are you finding, or is it just me, that they've taken the most likable character and almost turned him into an unlikable character through the series? Like, I'm not as into Coulson as I am to Coulson in the movies.
Well, it's a classic case of too much. I mean, in the movies, he was in there just spot on at certain points. I mean, he was awesome in his little bits in Iron Man and in Thor, and he wasn't in Captain America, and the Avengers. Obviously a little bit bigger part. Yeah. But now he's full time on this show, and I think it's just, he was a cool character, but was he cool enough to support his own show? I don't think so. I agree with you.
I almost feel like, I don't know, when I watch him on the show, like, I feel like he's too, and I love dry comedy, but I just feel like he's too dry as far as the acting goes for Coulson. Like, he's almost turned, not only is the series, what bugs me about the series is I hate that you're going to take a Marvel series and almost make it like it's CSI. Like, every week there's a new thing, there's not really a whole storyline going on. Maybe you have some hints of something going on, and you're piecing together parts of a story throughout these other episodes, but every episode essentially is its own episode. It's not really tied in completely to the episode before it. I just feel like he's too dry in the series, and not that it's too much of him, because I don't really feel he's in the series, but I don't feel like he's in it as much as some of the other characters. Like, he seems to kind of focus on the team a little bit more than him. But I don't know. For me, I don't know. I'm still lost, and like I said a million times before, I've said it here, I want to like this series so bad, and it's just not happening for me yet.
I think that they're coming back, and they're going to do what you want them to do.
Good.
I kind of think with the 2 episodes. Has it been 2 episodes or just 2 episodes?
Yeah, I watched the week before, and
it seems to be running more one continuous story. I mean, they bring a new plot. They have to have a little bit of plot element. So the plot element here, they did actually introduce a new supervillain, and actually showed his origin. He was a student at the university, the smart university, the sciences. No names. I don't know his name. I didn't recognize his name. I think this is a made-for-TV one, which is...
Any hint of powers?
Well, he either controls ice or he controls weather. He had a machine that could control... Well, he had a local, small thing that basically froze people. That was kind of the mystery of the story, is who's doing this? And it turned out, he got frozen, and the guy that he was in this scheme with also kind of got frozen, so they ultimately end up having this machine that actually could control the weather. And the lure was to bring the 2 top science nerds, SHIELD agents, there, so that the guy, and I can't remember their names, and I feel bad about that, but the guy nerd, SHIELD science nerd, helps the bad guy figure out what's wrong with his machine. He brings him to his room and shows him all these different ideas he has, and then shows him this one machine, and the guy figures out a problem that the guy couldn't figure out. And so now all of a sudden these two guys can go and control the weather, which is what they end up doing, and they're showing it to the guy that's kind of the head. So they brought the villain back, or I don't think it's a villain. He was in one or two previous episodes. I don't know if he leads this centipede thing or not.
Okay.
But
I think I know who you're talking about.
yeah, so he was interested in buying this weather machine from these guys, and obviously then the thing goes wrong, and it causes a big, huge tornado thing, and S.H.I.E.L.D. has to come in and save the day.
Is S.H.I.E.L.D. going to be fighting the Weather Channel?
Maybe. That's possible. The guy, but at the very end, so the machine blows up. It kills the guy's partner, and then the nerdy smart guy at the very end, as he's being carted away by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, he touches his finger on the windshield and it turns to ice. So I don't know if it, like I said, so I can't tell if he has weather powers or ice powers. But so they brought some superpowers into it, not a superhero, but superpowers. Unfortunately, that was the very last scene. It's just
now.
Again, it's too. It's almost too little, too late for me. I will keep watching it, but I don't have the enthusiasm. I found myself kind of browsing. One of the things that cracks me up about the show, going back to your CSI type comment, is like it's supposed to be this serious kind of. I thought it would be more like Lost or Heroes, where it would be really like at the end of every episode, you're going, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And there is still some at the end of the episode you're kind of going, what's going on? It's not.
Well, for me it's like,
or who cares what's going on?
Are we going to fix it next episode, or
yeah,
are we going to do the same thing?
Yeah, it doesn't have the hooks like those shows did. And what makes it even worse is like so they'll have a big dramatic scene and they'll cut to commercial and it'll be at the half hour. Well, they'll have to they're I don't know if they're required or whatever. But they have the station announcer, quote unquote, indicate that S.H.I.E.L.D. will be back in a few minutes. But they do it instead of like S.H.I.E.L.D. will be back in just a moment. It's S.H.I.E.L.D. will be back in just a moment. It's like this upbeat, like totally opposite of what the show is. The tone is trying to give you, and it's like S.H.I.E.L.D. will be back, yay!
Hey, if you got nothing better to watch, come back.
Yeah, come on back. Whereas I remember when Lost would go to commercial, it was always Lost will continue.
Yeah, like I remember watching Lost, and I could be like, I would have to go to the bathroom and be doing like the pee dance, and I'd be like,
yeah,
I can hold it.
Yeah, you don't care about this. It doesn't have the same appeal, and it could. It so could, and they've missed the mark on this, and maybe they'll correct it, and maybe we're seeing signs of some correction, but it could be too late.
Yeah, that's just how I feel. Like I don't know. If I catch it, I'll catch it. And reruns, if something starts happening, I mean, like you said, you're going to keep watching it. So I'll pretty much just turn to you and be like, is it getting good yet? Is it getting good? Because I really don't know if I'm going to continue to watch it. And the thing that gets me is I love that how much both of us were so psyched for the show to come out. And I can tell that you've lost interest alone on the fact that the next morning I'll be like, because usually you used to just the next morning when you woke up you'd catch up on it, you'd DVR it or whatever,
right?
On demand or whatever, and then so I would be like, so did you catch S.H.I.E.L.D. yet? Because I'd be like ready to talk about it, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I caught it, and then the last couple times it's been, hey, have you caught S.H.I.E.L.D. yet? No, and it's been like it's gone by like 2 or 3 days, and then I'd be like, so did you end up watching S.H.I.E.L.D.? Yeah, I finally watched it.
Yeah, it's not. I don't have the excitement of like, I gotta sit down. Like when Breaking Bad, the next morning I want to watch that when it's released.
Exactly.
But not like this, and I was hoping I would. So maybe it'll get better. I mean, I'm gonna keep watching it. The ratings, from what I've read, are fine. They will go to a second season probably.
Yeah, I believe they will. They do have. I did see. This coming week, apparently, there's some kind of Thor tie-in. And I believe, which I did not see the movie yet, shoot me in the face, the second one, but there's a girl warrior or something.
Yeah,
in the
she was in
second.
the first. Sif.
Yes,
She was in the first
and
too.
I think was she in the first?
Yes. She didn't have
Uh,
as big of a part as she had. Well, I don't know. It's probably this, maybe a little bit bigger in the second one. But yeah, I read that she was supposed to be making an appearance,
yeah,
which probably means the other Asgardian guy that they brought in a couple episodes ago will be back too.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, what I really need out of this series is I just need to be a superhero series again, or
Yeah.
not again, but I need to start doing that. I need there to be heroes, and I need there to be villains, and I need Shield to have at least half a handful of villains, whether that be two full heroes, whether that be two full heroes and some kind of sidekick or something, or whatever it may be, or three full heroes. I need them to have some kind of hero base that help fight this villain or whatever that's going on. And even that, I would be fine with CSI style if it was, hey, we're fighting this villain next week. You know what I mean? Like, they kept bringing him in, and I don't need the same villain throughout a whole season. Just like an episode or so, and I'm fine. Move on to another obscure villain that I don't know, and I'm fine with that. I'm just not okay with where we are, and I'm not okay with, we got the new Avengers movie coming out, and since obviously Coulson is alive, if he's going to be in the new Avengers movie, at this point, just from his character on TV, I'm like burnout out. Where I don't even care if he's in the new movie.
Yeah, I agree.
The first one, I was like, no, you can't kill freaking Coulson. Like, he's awesome. And now I'm like, he should have stayed dead.
Yeah, well, I don't, yeah,
in a sense.
They forced too much on him.
Yeah. I mean, and it's nothing on it's nothing on the actor. It's just like I like him. I liked him before he was in the Avengers. The last thing I remember actually seeing him on was Julia Louis-Dreyfus, The New Adventures of Volker Steen.
Yeah, he was her ex-husband.
Yeah, and like I like him. I completely like him. It's just I don't know. I'm completely lost on this series, and I don't feel like I'm coming back out of it. Like, it has some kind of viewing audience, obviously, and I don't know if it's everybody like us who wants to like it, and we're waiting for something to happen. But eventually, if that's what everybody's doing, that's going to stop at a point. And I mean, for me, I'm pretty much there right now.
Yeah.
The other TV show. I mean, did anything else happen in this episode that was?
That pretty much hit the highlights.
Okay. So the other thing that we mentioned last time that Constantine Pilot was coming out. We also have Gotham, which is going to follow Commissioner Gordon through his ranks and follow Bruce Wayne from, I believe, from what I've been reading, the time he loses his parents by the end of the series. The end of the series is supposed to be when he puts on the suit.
So this is Smallville, but Gotham style.
Yeah, and I believe it's supposed to be what I want from S.H.I.E.L.D., where you're going to see villains that you know, and how the city's falling apart. And I think the end result is going to be why he puts on the cowl, to go out and fight crime. So I'm kind of excited about it, but I'm also kind of burnt out on comic TV series right now. So it's,
yeah, I'm.
I can see the potential for it, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm kind of. I probably won't watch it immediately. Wait for it to get collected, maybe, and watch it then, but then see how it does.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I am with. I think we talked about the potential of the guy who plays Arrow actually being Green Arrow in a Justice League movie or something like that.
Right.
Or we had seen rumors of that. Even that show, like, I don't know. I might watch it now. Like, it's in a couple seasons, I believe. So I might go back and start watching it if that ends up being the case, just to get a better.
It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it either, but it's supposed to be good.
And I always wanted to watch it. It's just it falls on I forget what night it falls on, but it falls against something else that I've been watching way longer than that. Priorities, I guess.
Yeah, I think the
uh,
seasons are on Netflix. At least season 1 is. I think it's on season 2 right now.
so it's you know, the, I have hope for Gotham. I just hope and I didn't see who was supposed to run it. But whoever does, I'm sure it's going to be done halfway decent. I at
Hmm.
least hope. Um, so that's pretty much everything going on in TV. As far as we got the comics now, things that we took our break, we came back, we did somewhat of a comic and tech episode, and so things that happen again. We're still coming out of Christmas and the New Year, and I don't know what it is, but Kevin, every time we announce something, it seems like the very next day after we do one of these podcasts, something bigger drops. And
Yep.
that something bigger from the podcast, the one we did at the end of the year, was as soon as we were done, the next day I was texting you, Vin Diesel was announced as Groot for Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, and half of that cast, I wasn't even. I had to once he was announced, I looked it up and I wasn't even sure. Like I didn't know that Rocket Raccoon was Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Uh, I I know that um, I believe it's Dave Bautista is the other. Who's the other?
Drax? Drax the Destroyer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he's him. So, I mean, I was just like, okay. Vin Diesel, good voice for that character, I think. I'm not familiar with the character all that much. I mean, from what the looks of it are, um, I like it. I like his voice, and I like it when it's not going to be his face going
Yeah.
along with his voice.
I haven't read all my. I've got Guardians of the Galaxy. This current. I've got some collections of that I haven't read yet.
Mhm.
But I kind of think Groot, the tree creature, I think all he says is "I am Groot." I think that's all he
Okay.
says. So he won't have many lines, or the lines he does have will probably be repeated quite a bit.
Oh man, that's gonna be quite a movie if he has like a whole narrative of just I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am
I'm
Groot.
sure maybe he says more, but it seems like every panel I've seen of just where they isolate Groot, that's what he's saying is "I am Groot." So we got it. Okay.
Um, so I cannot wait. That seems like my kind of movie. We know we've talked about me being in the obscure, and you said that that was far more obscure than. Don't worry about it. We are going to get to Ant-Man. I promise this time. I said it last time and we did not do it. But and you said that was far more obscure than Ant-Man. But
Yes.
I don't know. Just on characters alone so far, I cannot wait. And
I
I
think it'll be
really,
good. I think it'll be fun. That's what I'm. That's what I think. I think it's just going to be fun,
yeah,
and that's what I want when I go to a movie. And that's how they've handled just about every single one of the Marvel movies. They have been fun, as well as they've been full of action. They've been exciting, but I think overall they're just fun. Um, where DC has to work on that one, I think.
yeah. And it's who is the other guy? There's somebody else in this cast that I am really excited about. For some reason, I thought he was going to be Rocket Raccoon when I didn't know. What is his name? I know him from Walking Dead, and it's Michael Rooker. How could I forget for a second? Um, I really like his voice, and I thought he was going to be really good. I mean, they have a huge cast on this thing too. We have
A lot of
I,
characters.
but I didn't even see half of these names like going out of the new year. We have John C. Riley now, Benicio del Toro, um, Glenn Close. I mean, I didn't even see these names before, and maybe they were announced earlier, but I just have not seen them before. But yeah, so I'm excited just on voices alone, and I think it's going to be one of those movies. It's going to be fun. It's I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, I would imagine since they have such a huge cast that it's going to be a at least trilogy of
Oh
some.
yeah, yeah. They'll go 3 movies as long as the first one's successful. I'm sure
Yeah,
they've already planned out 3 movies. That's how these things work now. It's a three
yeah.
movie arc, and then they decide what they want to do. I mean, like Robert Downey Jr. He did 3 Iron Mans
Mm.
and the Avengers, and he's going to do the next Avengers for sure. And then I kind of think I'd like to see him do another 3 story arc with Iron Man if he could. But if he bows out and they put something else, I'm fine with that.
I think that's going to happen, but we're gonna get to that. Like I said, this is all comic movie generated right here, or for the lesser, the one thing that we have that's not comic related, and we're talking about trilogies right now, is Star Wars. And I saw that Star Wars is eyeing Jesse Plemons for the lead of the new movie, who was Todd for Breaking Bad,
Right.
which is kind of interesting. I don't know that I was sold
Who do
on his acting skills as far as being the lead from Breaking Bad. I think he was in Friday Night Lights or something like that before, I believe. One of those type of
I don't
movie
know.
or one of those type of TV shows. But I mean, I liked him in Breaking Bad. I don't know, and I don't really know about the next series of Lucasfilm. I'm hoping I can get a little nostalgic,
Who's he
and
playing?
he's supposed to be the lead. I don't know who
But
the
we
lead
don't
is
know
going to
anything
be.
about. Are they doing? See, I haven't been following. Is this
So, so,
after what?
so back in the '70s, we had 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
In the 2000s, we had
1, 2, and
1,
3.
2, and 3. So we're supposed to have 7, 8, and 9 now.
Okay.
Um, and the characters from 4, 5, and 6, some of them are supposed to return in these movies as their older selves.
I
Uh,
also heard that they were also going to really get rid of a lot of stuff out of there as well. I mean, like a lot of the stuff they had in Star Wars, like they're also going to trim down. So I'm thinking like we may not see Jar Jar Binks and Ewoks and
well,
stuff like that.
yeah, I see the thing about Star Wars is, like I said, I love the old ones, and by the old ones, we in numbers it doesn't work out the correct way, but I love 4, 5, and 6. Um, 1, 2, and 3. I understand what they are, and what they are is they're more of like a family movie to watch with your kid. I think they're more geared towards children than the hardcore Star Wars fan from before. And I understand that or whatever, but I think going forward, you have to have a pretty good balance. I'm not saying that 4, 5, and 6 are not family oriented or kid friendly. I'm just saying that 1, 2, and 3, with especially with Jar Jar, he was like, I think that character alone was just made for kids. Um, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So who he's gonna play, I have no idea.
Let's
Um,
assume Luke Skywalker's son.
yeah, we can assume that.
I think that would make sense. And when I saw that news, I was like, oh, cool. I didn't really have any. I thought, oh, he'll probably be good in whatever he's going to play. He's
Yeah.
fine. And I can see him in, the Luke Skywalker getup or whatever. Maybe the picture that I saw the article and had it superimposed over Mark Hamill's head or something. I don't know,
Mhm.
but so that'll be interesting. I'm curious as what they're going to do with all that to begin with, because I'm not even sure I watched 2 and 3. I'm positive I did not see the Clone Wars
I know. Yeah.
or Return of the Clones or Attack of the Clones or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive I didn't. If that was the third one, I'm positive I didn't see that. And I'm not sure I watched the second, and I don't remember being that impressed with the first.
Yeah,
So I don't
I
know.
remember boycotting them completely, and then I kind of cut them on when they became TV.
Yeah.
Like if they were playing on TV, I kind of cut them here and there. But I mean, I'm really indifferent about him playing the role. Like I said, I don't know his ability. I haven't really seen much of it. To me, I think he has a look for a Star Wars movie as far as the way that they seem to pick characters. I mean, when you look at like a young Mark Hamill, really, I don't know if I would have picked him out of the lot to begin with. Like he seemed like an odd choice to me, or whoever was playing Anakin in the newer one, or the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it was like they seem to just have these random choices, and I mean, they usually pan out. They obviously do a decent amount, and they do so much other stuff anyway that doesn't really matter if these movies are great or not. It's just that, Lucas had 3 trilogies, and if he has anything beyond that, or if he'll get to do anything beyond that, I don't know. I mean, he can push them out himself as much as he wants. So, but that was interesting. Um, the other something new that we just saw was Batman Superman getting pushed back a full year. Um, Rumors of Ben Affleck being hurt, having some sort of injury. But what they're really doing is they're having uh, you know, who's going to have the bigger franchise contest with Marvel. I think pretty much.
Well, I think they just realized they were, and I think it's a smart move. Give yourself another year to get this down right. I thought they were rushing it way too much when they even first announced it, which was a month after Man of Steel was released.
Yeah,
So and it was obvious they had just made these decisions. They were waiting to see what Man of Steel would do before they said, "Let's make our plans." And now they're making their plans, and I thought they were rushing it way too much, and moving it back because 2015, that's when Avengers 2 comes out,
yeah,
and they were asking to get their asses kicked. I think,
yeah,
'cause I think they're going to rush this even with another year on there. If they're trying to push out to have a Justice League right after that,
yeah. And the other story is
maybe.
that they're supposed to be shooting them back to back.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I heard that too.
um,
I,
and what they're going to be competing against now is this mystery Marvel movie, which all we can assume right now, if we're going to go in order of what's more popular in the franchises as far as Avengers go, we would assume possibly Thor 3 that it would be going up against. Um,
no, I think this, from what I read, and who knows, and Thor 3 could be in there somewhere. I don't know, but I think it's supposed to be the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they were actually thinking, and I read that the date that they're planning on releasing
is
Superman versus Batman is the exact same date that Marvel has been has introduced their
yeah,
summer movie.
yeah, their mystery
Um,
movie.
yeah, and they were saying that potentially, and Thor 3 could very well be it. That might be. That is that too soon?
I don't know.
That'd be 3 years.
See, the thing is,
Um,
there's so many things at play here. But go ahead.
so I think they were pondering whether it was Doctor Strange,
Yeah,
because it was supposed to be the start of the next. I think Ant-Man is actually supposed to start the wave after Avengers 2, but there were supposed to be 3 movies, and Ant-Man I think is one of them if I'm remembering correctly. And then Doctor Strange is heavily considered to be another one in there, and then Black Panther was another potential there, but I don't know that the third has even been really thought about.
but another rumor that really scares me is, did you see the thing about the lost artwork from Thor, the second one?
No.
There are lost concept art pieces from Thor, and you will probably know better than I do right off the bat because I can't think of their names, and I did not write them down or save the article for what reason I don't know. There was concept art for characters that were supposed to be in the second Thor that cross over into a Planet Hulk movie. And a Planet Hulk movie scares the hell out of me because I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of this, so I haven't read Planet Hulk. So I would rather see the Hulk as a supporting character than its own.
Me too.
However, considering how well Mark Ruffalo did with the Hulk in the Avengers, it's possible it could still be good. I mean, I would not put it past him. I didn't like the first Hulk movie. I actually kind of liked the Incredible Hulk, the one with Ed Norton as Bruce Banner. I was hoping he would actually have been Bruce Banner in the Avengers, but totally satisfied with who they actually got. So I don't know. I mean, like if they had it, I'd watch it. But like the Black Widow and probably Hawkeye, the Hulk to me should be a supporting character in all of these movies or select few. Like
Yeah.
Black Widow will be in the next Captain America, and I think that's good. I don't want to see a Black Widow solo movie.
Yeah. So I think what I want to do is I'm gonna want to jump back to the you know what I'll do the right thing. I'll finish up on the Superman Batman thing, and then I'll jump into the Avengers stuff because there's some stuff I really want to jump into you with this. But the other thing was that Dwayne The Rock Johnson had tweeted that he was having a meeting with DC. Now, two things about this that are awesome. You and I have been talking about. We saw that there's this Shazam movie that was on the back burner, and people have brought up that not only you, because I think you brought up to me too, he would be a great Black Adam. Now, second part of this is he's talking to DC. We have Batman and Superman, and he's supposedly in talks for the Jon Stewart Green Lantern part, which I am completely okay with also. I know Shazam has got pushed back a lot, a couple times because of Superman movies. The ones that were before this most recent one, Man of Steel, that didn't do so well. It was in between there, and then Man of Steel came out, and that kind of got wiped off to the side because I guess Shazam and Superman are kind of equalish power.
Their power sets are the same, but that's it. I think it's stupid to sit there and say, they're too similar. Their powers are too similar, but their stories are so completely different. And I think a Shazam movie would I would like to see that.
I would be interested in seeing it.
As long as they do it like they started doing, and maybe this is pertinent to the original, the very, very original Shazam, or if this is a twist they did late, they introduced later. But Billy Batson is Captain Marvel or Shazam. He's the one that says Shazam, and it changes. But they introduced at some point that even though it's Shazam or Captain Marvel is a full-size adult hero, he still has the mind of Billy Batson, so he acts like a kid. Now, if they did that and that was a part of the movie, I really think that could be good if they do it right.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So, but yes, The Rock looks like Black Adam. It's the first person I thought of. I don't see him as Jon Stewart because Jon Stewart's black.
Well, I think the reasoning there is that he's such a big guy and he's such a big profile name. He's Samoan, but he looks mixed, I guess, in a way. So
but why? But is Jon Stewart that big of a? Well, Black Adam is probably even.
Well, you know what? If you want to have Green Lantern in the Justice League movie, you're obviously not having Ryan Reynolds do it. So you're gonna have to go, you're gonna have to jump on over to Jon Stewart because he's the I don't know, most second notable Green Lantern, I guess.
Well, there's Kyle Rayner who took over for Hal Jordan. I don't know. Jon Stewart to me has always been kind of a secondary Green Lantern to either Hal Jordan or Kyle Rayner, but I don't know. You could go either way. I just can't see The Rock as any of those guys. To me, he needs to be like, if he wasn't talking with DC, he could just easily come over to Marvel and play the Submariner.
Yeah.
And be really good at that too. I mean, he would be awesome as in that character as well. Because honestly, the Submariner and Black Adam actually look a lot alike in the comic books, because they both have pointy ears and they have the funky widow's brow hair. But you know, whatever he wants to, I think he'd be great in those movies. But he's got to be to me, he's got to be a strong guy. He's got to be someone, you know, that's.
And that's the only reason I see the Jon Stewart is because as far as anything that I've ever seen drawn of him, he's a big built dude. And as far as there being big built dudes that are blockbuster type guys in the industry, I don't see anybody else besides him that I think would be big enough for the part. I mean, without going into an unknown.
I would rather see him if I was going to pick someone. I'd rather see him as Martian Manhunter than Green Lantern.
Yeah, I thought that too. When I read it, I was like, oh yeah, he'd be awesome as Martian Manhunter. But,
yeah, I mean, I could see that.
All the rumors that I see point to Green Lantern. But yeah, I think he would be an awesome Martian Manhunter too. You know, we'll see if he's even if that's even the movie that he's in. He could be in something totally different. Maybe they could go ahead with Shazam. Maybe he's in that. Maybe he's something totally different that nobody has their finger on yet. So, you know, that was the other big DC news that kind of dropped over the holiday. So I really don't know where to jump to this now because we talked about Planet Hulk, so we might as well, and we kind of touched on Johnny Depp being sought after for.
No, we haven't talked about that at all.
Oh, okay, Johnny Depp for Doctor Strange, which was originally supposed to be who they were chasing down was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which was supposed to be Ant-Man, and ends up being Sandman. So this guy is like everybody wants him to be every superhero apparently ever.
Yeah, I could definitely. I'd never bought him as Ant-Man. I didn't think he would be a very good choice for that. I thought he could actually do a decent Doctor Strange. But Johnny Depp, that is your number one to me choice. Be perfect.
I think it's perfect, and you know, I just don't know. I love his characters. I loved him as when he did Willy Wonka the way he did Willy Wonka. You know, he can go to that place that I think you need him to go. And I think that you need to not mess around with his costume too much and let him wear that costume, from what I've seen from the comics anyway, the main Doctor Strange costume, and let him run with that character that way, because he will do it awesome.
And he's known for doing
trilogies
and ongoing characters. He likes to do that. I mean, he's doing his, fifth Pirates movie?
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I saw, which, you know, this is all rumor and speculation, as always, but he has a fifth Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out. He also had something else coming out, too, what else did he do?
Well, I think another Alice in Wonderland.
That's what it is, yeah.
Mad Hatter.
So, yeah, shooting schedules and stuff like that, I don't, you know, I hope.
It fits into his wheelhouse. I think he would really. It fits, and nothing. I don't think they've actually talked about it. It's just people, you know, preemptively saying it. But that would be great. I think he would just be perfect and talk about just making that Marvel universe even stronger and having a name like Johnny Depp associated with one of your movies, and then I guarantee he would do some small parts in, you know, like they do in all the other movies, little things. I think he would do that too, and he would be set for that. Doctor Strange to me is an easy character.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole on this one yet because we're gonna get there. But yeah, so I mean, if he is gonna be the person for the role, now that they said that they were going after him for it, um, you have to get him because I don't know, I can't see anybody else now, and if it's gonna be somebody else, you better be able to beat the hell out of Johnny Depp as far as characters go, because otherwise you're probably going to be disappointing a lot of people.
The other big name I could see doing it is the guy. Is it Benedict Cumberbatch, the guy who is doing Sherlock Holmes on the BBC and was Khan in the last Star Trek?
Okay.
He's British, but
Yeah.
that doesn't. I mean, he could do an American accent. They often do better than American would do.
Yeah.
I could see him being a pretty good Doctor Strange, but I think he's pushing to do something in Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. It's but you got to see where it goes. My hope is that yes, you do get Johnny Depp, and we do see him in
Well,
this
that would be great.
Wars because it would be awesome. So before we go too far, we came out, and again, we missed a big one day after the podcast that Wasp is actually supposed to make an appearance in Ant-Man. To what extent, I do not know. There are two actresses that were named also, and one of them is a little bit older, and one of them is a little bit younger. I forget the names, but there was one name that I knew better that I was like, yeah, they should probably get her. Other Ant-Man news is Kevin gets his wish. He gets Hank Pym, but we're also getting Scott Lang, and we're getting Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. And who is playing Hank Pym?
Oh, Michael Douglas.
Yes.
So what's interesting about that is Michael Douglas's age. In the comics, roughly Hank Pym may be 10 years older than Scott Lang. So how they're playing this will be interesting. There were some on some of the articles I read, and fan reaction was just that, well, he's too old to be Hank Pym. And I guess there may even be some question on whether he plays a good guy Hank Pym or a bad guy Hank Pym, which I don't know. So we'll see how this works. What I don't understand is, or what I'm wondering, is he going to be in the Avengers, or will in Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, because Hank Pym created Ultron, will he be in that? And will it be Michael Douglas, or will it be somebody else? Obviously, I think what they're going to do is maybe they're going to make Michael Douglas a Hank Pym who was Ant-Man as a hero, but maybe back in truly in the 60s, and Paul Rudd's character is going to be steal his outfit and stuff like that to be the Ant-Man of today.
Yeah, from what I've seen, as far as Edgar Wright speaking about Ant-Man, because he's been the man behind it for how long now, he said that at one point in an interview that this was going to be a heist movie, and that's why when we first started talking about this, I said, with my research as far as Ant-Man went, I see Rudd more as a Scott Lang character, which panned out. So it's supposed to be a heist movie. The backstory that I got was his daughter gets kidnapped, and he has to raid all these. He has to raid these banks to get the money, and he actually, within doing that, steals the Ant-Man costume to do so from Hank Pym. So I don't know. I can see Douglas making an appearance in Avengers, as a cameo. Now, does he create Ultron later on, or is that when he's younger? How did that work in the comics?
Oh, It was okay. So he started out as Ant-Man, then he became Giant Man slash Goliath, where he grew to a giant. And then somewhere in there, he created an artificial intelligence, which ultimately became Ultron. Um, so there's an artificial intelligence that you know became smarter on its own, and then
Mhm.
ultimately became evil. Uh, and that's how Ultron was created.
Okay.
So I don't know
So
how they're going to do it in this, because I had read they weren't really necessarily going to do it like that. That maybe Tony Stark would have more of a play in this, but I kind of hope it is Hank Pym in there because Tony can't invent everything.
I'm remembering something right now that's gonna piss you off so bad.
Hmm.
I heard actually that the reason that they chose the name Age of Ultron was that they didn't want to call it Avengers 2, and that it might not necessarily have anything to do with that storyline at all.
Well, it's
Uh,
gonna oh, well, it's gonna have Ultron. We know that. Whether
yeah,
whether it's the Age of Ultron that was just in the comics, probably not. It's probably just borrowing the name, and that's fine because actually I read that whole Age of Ultron, and I didn't think it was that great. It was good. It was kind of fun, but it was also kind of
not
at the
movie.
at the end of it, it was pointless. Maybe it was good for a movie because it was basically they went back in time and they resolved. I mean, Ultron for most part wasn't. You didn't see him much in the entire Age of Ultron storyline that I read. He pretty much conquered the world, and you're just seeing it from the aftermath. I
Okay.
don't think that's how they. If that's how they play this next one, that'll be interesting. But it was like future Avengers. Tony Stark is older, and they go back in time, and blah blah blah, and they do all this stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that's how they'll do. I
So,
don't know how to play this one.
um, so where we at, where we're at now is we have the Avengers. We have Tony Stark, who has done his three movies so far. If he does more outside the Avengers, not really sure. Um, I don't know. I kind of hope so. I like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I don't want to see Iron Man go away.
Well, you
Or
won't. You won't see him go away. They'll just get
well,
another actor.
yeah. Well, I don't want to see that either. As a problem, I
Yeah,
want to see. I want Iron Man to stay how he is, and I don't want him to go in one of those roles where I'm okay. Like the Hulk is okay just showing up in movies here and there. He doesn't need his own full length movie. I don't want to see Iron Man go to just showing up in the Avengers movies or cameos in other movies or whatever. And we hashed this out a little bit last week, but I did some research and I found a lot of rumors. And we were talking about, I said, we have Ant Man, now we have Doctor Strange as announced. We obviously have the Hulk, which can, by me, jump between movies if need be. Because, like I said, he doesn't need his own full length movie, so taking on another franchise might be alright. But I did search around the rumor mills, started turning the cranks, getting everything, and I did find rumors of Defenders movie, um, which, like I said, if they come out with another Avengers team, I don't think they would call it whatever, the new Avengers or whatever. I think they would just kind of replace members in the Avengers as they go along. But I did find rumors of a Defenders movie. And with the recent Planet Hulk uh, integration and with the Thor thing, I don't know.
well, there's it's not rumors of a Defenders movie. There will be one, but it's going to be the one that's on Netflix after they get through Daredevil, Power Man, Iron Fist, and Jessica Drew. I think that's right. Um, when Netflix does its individual series of those characters, it's supposed to accumulate into a Defenders movie on Netflix for with all of those as the Defenders.
Yeah, but I don't know if can they do a Defenders movie on Netflix and then do a Defenders studio movie for Blockbuster?
I don't know. I'm not sure why they would.
Or would they go? I mean, even if, like I said, we're
If
doing research, so could they go Illuminati and end some of those people because they have people jumping back and forth too?
Well, I
It,
think what
it's
they will do here, and who knows? They may not even plan. They may or may not have planned this far out. Avengers 2 is going to have, I would imagine, pretty much the same team that was in Avengers 1. Maybe with the addition of the Falcon, and maybe because he'll be introduced in Captain America, and I don't know if there's Guardians of the Galaxy, if they'll be involved in Avengers 2 or not. I don't, but I kind of think it'll be the same characters that we've seen in the first one. And then they're going to start their next phase. And then I think Avengers 3, whatever it might be called, I think you're going to see the team change. There'll be different members in there. And that's just like it is in the comics. I mean, it hasn't always been these same heroes the entire run. I think they'll mix it up. Maybe they'll cameo maybe Iron Man or Captain America or whatever. I mean, they should have Captain America in all of them, but I think they'll just have different team members, and they'll try to pull them from these different movies they're making, I think.
Well, was it? You'll know better than I do because I don't remember. Was it the Illuminati who had Doctor Strange and Iron Man?
Well, yeah, the Illuminati is in the Marvel Comics is just this kind of star chamber of the smartest and / more power, not necessarily the most powerful, but probably the smartest members of the Marvel Universe. So you had Iron Man, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, which right there, he won't be in the Illuminati because that character, Reed Richards, is owned by a different company now. Yeah. They had Doctor Strange. They had Professor X, another one who can't be in it. They had Black Bolt of the Inhumans who could. And they just introduced the Beast. He just actually replaced Professor X because supposedly he's dead. And then it's the Submariner, who I think we don't know because he is supposed to be the very first mutant. So is he part of the X-Men thing, or he was first brought back in the Fantastic Four? So is he part of Fantastic Four? There are some gray areas around some of these characters, just like we had with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
That we've got with these other ones. So I don't know that they'll do the Illuminati or not.
I'm just saying, if they keep Robert Downey Jr. and they get Johnny Depp, you better put them two in a movie together. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
I just think we shouldn't probably think too much for Johnny Depp. No, not Johnny Depp. Robert Downey Jr. after Avengers 2. I think I'm kind of thinking, we'd be lucky to see him in another movie. I think.
Yeah, it's really hard because it's all speculation. You're really loving these characters. As far as the dangerous thing is moving characters in and out of a franchise. In the comics, I think it's okay. As far as movies go, though, if you're going to do a trilogy of the Avengers, you probably have to have everyone for the third movie. After that, however, or weed someone out in the second one and slightly start replacing people as you go. And then you can take the Avengers to all different kinds of places. I don't think you want to get a huge team. I think 5 is a good number for the Avengers. I don't think you need like a huge 20-person Avengers team or anything like that, which they would do anyway.
They can't afford. Yeah, they can't afford to do
that. You would never do that anyway because there would just be too much going on screen anyway, and keeping up with so many characters as it is. But I'm excited. I mean, like we've said before, like we never thought you would see the quality superhero movies that you see now.
Mm-hmm.
And like the storylines and everything. I mean, and it just seems like they're trying to bring in, and it's not a bad thing. Some of it might be a bad thing. You know, a lot of people say Green Lantern. Um, you know, trying to bring too much in too quick and make a buck off of it, and yeah, that's when you do it bad. But when you do the story and you do it the right way, then it's
Yeah,
going to end up being really good.
and Marvel, but Marvel hasn't done anything bad. I mean, you know, with when from the start of Iron Man, every movie they've done, whether it was really popular or not, is a different story. But as far as keeping it together, keeping it somewhat tight, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, some people think Iron Man 2 was terrible. I liked it.
Yeah, I was okay
Um,
with it.
yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. It wasn't like I always go back to Spider-Man 3 as being one of the most ridiculous movies ever because of what they try to put in there. Same with X-Men 3, with the Dark Phoenix thing. I thought that was too much. And I do kind of think they've learned a little bit from there because they managed to blend in Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor and into the Avengers so nicely, and they know the formula. So I'm totally okay with whatever they're going to do. I have complete trust in whatever they put out that I'm hopefully going to like it. But I'm never going to go into it thinking I might not. I'm always going to think I'm going to like it, which could put expectations up too high.
As long as it's not a TV series.
Yeah, Shield, but that's TV. If they did a Shield movie, I guarantee you it would have been 20 times better than anything we see on the TV.
Yes.
I blame the Shield stuff because it's TV.
Yeah.
That it's just it's formulaic, and they could have done better, but they don't have the same. The people that are really good at this, they're working on the movies. They're not working on the TV show.
Yeah.
They're putting in something like in the last Shield one. They did mention Bucky Barnes, who is gonna was in Captain America,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be in the next movie. So they threw him. They thread very little, but they do some, and it's just not the same people making them. Yeah, I could be totally proven wrong. Guardians of the Galaxy could totally suck. Ant-Man could suck. But
It's not going to happen.
I don't think so. I think it's just and a Doctor Strange mother movie will be
Doctor Strange. I am overly excited for. If it's Johnny Depp or just in general,
I don't. Yeah, whoever it is.
I'm not banking on it, but I think it's going to be done good, done well.
So too. I think they'll do well.
And I am really 100% in for Ant-Man now. Like I said, like we were going back and forth. Well, he has to be Hank Pym. Well, I think he's going to be Scott Lang, and we were at this like standstill, you and I, of who it's going to be. And now we're getting both of them. So whether that was, and who knows, that could have been a decision after they announced Paul Rudd, as because negotiations can't take forever. I mean, I'm sure they could have grabbed somebody really quick, throwing enough money in their face, like Michael Douglas. Like, hey, well, okay, we have Hank, because originally I think Paul Rudd was announced as Hank Pym. And
well, I think some writers made that assumption.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think anything's ever been released. I don't know that they've even officially said he's Scott Lang, have they?
Yeah, he's supposed to be Scott Lang. Yeah,
okay.
I think so. From what I saw, and that was going off of Edgar Wright talking about it. Because he said it was going to be a heist movie. He said a while ago that it was going to be a heist movie. Okay. And when you go into a whole heist story, he was talking about Scott Lang.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's. I don't know. I'm really excited for it now. I mean, I was excited before for it. I didn't really. I know I wasn't. Yeah. Well, if you go by IMDb, it says Scott Lang, Ant-Man. Mm-hmm. Michael Douglas, Hank Pym, and that's all the cast they have. But like I said, there's also talks about Wasp coming in.
See, that's the other thing. So if it's Wasp, that was Hank Pym's girlfriend / wife.
Yeah.
And if Hank Pym is Michael Douglas, then is Kathleen Turner going to play the Wasp? I mean, you almost think that, well, she has to be the same age as Hank Pym,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
So
would be
yeah,
disappointing.
like I said, there's two different actresses that were up for Wasp, and I guess it decides on how you're going to thread the story to make it interesting to have that character in there. So I'm
Right.
not really sure. Um, I don't know. I was catching up on an old favorite superhero of mine that only lasted about a season in TV land recently, and that was the Tick. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just had to throw that in there because I was actually watching that the other day.
I like that
Um,
show. I like the comic too. It was
yeah,
funny.
it was. Yeah, actually, I watched. I was watching an episode earlier. It was. We had a big talk about my dad Netflix. He broke down and got it. So the Tick is on Netflix. Um,
Ah,
so I was catching an episode earlier. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for what's going on with all this stuff. I'm sure by tomorrow we'll have some new news of something that's supposed to happen. Um, we haven't really heard anything since we heard about not Ant Man, since we heard about Sandman. We haven't heard anything else about that, which I don't really know. I don't really know how much you're going to hear about that. I don't think there's really much to add, but I'm not that far into the book, and I don't know how far they're going to go with the actual comic. So,
well, I can't
um,
imagine they would do that without starting from the start. Like what you're reading now um, should be the start of it. I think.
yeah, they did say that he's supposed to. Well, he doesn't age either, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. Or he ages at a slower rate, uh, from what I read so far. Um, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, he's
But
immortal. Yeah.
yeah, so um, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt, it doesn't really matter. It's not like he's going to look old in one part. From what I've read so far, I mean, they said they're gonna start at the beginning and go through the 70 years. So they're probably not going to drag that out too long, but
Right.
it's probably going to play a decent part in the story to at least build the character, to probably build a at least sequel. Um, so I mean that's pretty much everything I think as far as movies, comics.
Yep.
Um,
By the way, Rashida Jones and Bryce Dallas Howard have been considered for the Wasp.
there you go. And I knew, and Rashida Jones is the one I know.
Yeah, she's on Parks and Recreation.
Yep, I
I
like
don't
her.
see her as the Wasp. They had rumored a long time ago Eva Longoria, who I think is a better fit, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah, it's all up in the air. But I mean, as far as everything goes, Kevin's gonna keep watching Shield. We're gonna stay on the news as much as we can. Well, maybe Kevin will keep watching Shield. We'll see how bad it gets.
Oh, I will. I'll keep watching
Uh,
it.
okay, well, he'll keep watching it, and even when and I'm gonna hold you to that when it gets really bad.
I will.
When you're
Well, I'll watch it through the end of this season. How about that? That's the promise I'll make.
okay, there you go. So you got another 4 episodes or something left, probably.
Four? That's it?
I don't know. I would think we're already 2 in past the mid.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's probably like a 13 episode, 14 episode show,
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, you don't have much longer to go.
All right.
Um, but we'll be back with more news and more fun next time. Keep the streets safe, you 8-bit heroes.